Hello once again, and welcome to Toilets to Titles. My name is Justin Stevens. I'm going to be your host this evening. Again, this is our individual team breakdowns for the preseason headed into the 2020 NFL season. I've decided to tackle the AFC South. If you look back at the previous videos, I've already broken down the Colts and the Texans for you. I'm on to the Titans tonight. These are going to be quick 10, 15, 20-minute videos. And the other guys are taking on some other divisions, and we're going to get all these knocked out before the season starts. But like I said, tonight's episode is about the Tennessee Titans. Before I get rolling with that, I'll go through the whole spiel here. You can catch us at Toilets to Titles, at Coach Sheps on Twitter, at JustinFF_, and at Nate_Dirt19. Again, these bonus episodes are only on YouTube and Periscope, but you can also download the Apple Podcast, Podbean, and Spotify to hear our regular episodes. And the next episode is going to be the tight end rankings. We will hopefully be recording that early next week. So let's get started. Fantasy studs for the Tennessee Titans. The only obvious one that jumps right out at you, the only first-round material here is going to be Derrick Henry, obviously. His 1,539 yards was first in the league, and there's really no reason to believe that he won't do it again. Maybe not 1,500 yards again, but at least top of the running backs again. In my opinion, he will finish as the rushing title leader again. But even if he doesn't, it would take some serious regression, which he is bound to hit. He will hit some negative regression, but even with some negative regression, he could still be the rushing title holder. And if not, he's still, if he stays healthy, guaranteed to be top 3 or 4 anyway. He had the most carries in the league last season and only on the field for about 67% of the team's snaps. So let that sink in. He was only on the field for 2/3 of the team's snaps and still had the most carries in the NFL. Crazy. It's crazy to me. Tannehill took over after week 7. He took over in week 7. Ryan Tannehill did. In the first 6 weeks, Henry averaged 86 yards a game and about 0.8 touchdowns per game. After Tanny took over, he averaged about 113.5 yards and 1.4 touchdowns per game. That's a difference of 8.5 PPR points per game. Okay, because I figured in the receptions that he did get. So that's 8.5 points or PPR points per game difference from when Tannehill took over to what he had before Tannehill was there as the starter. And the guy can catch the ball. Okay, there's this big rumor out there that he can't catch. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter how well he can catch the ball if they don't throw it to him. So I will admit that. But if you only count the targets that he received that were actually catchable targets, he caught 100% of his passes. He didn't have a single drop. Anything that was within his catch radius, he caught. And as a matter of fact, I have him pulled up right here. We can look and see his total receptions on the season. 18. So that means 18 receptions. So he had 18 possible. Actually, no, I take that back. So he did have 2 drops, but they were contested. So possibly hit while he was trying to catch, whatever. So 16 out of 18 still. The guy can catch. And when he does catch, he can break them for large amounts of yardage at a time. He had 206 receiving yards. That means he had 13.7 receiving yards per catch. So, like I said, he can actually do really well even in PPR, because where he's going to lack in the receptions, he's going to make up for in those yards, especially in the rushing yards. So don't be scared of him even in PPR leagues, guys. I'm telling you, he's going to finish as a top 5 running back even in PPR. Stay tuned for breakout. So the possible breakout that I have here is it seems obvious because everybody's talking about A.J. Brown. So that's my big breakout guy for this segment as well. I can't say that Tanny's going to be the breakout guy because he already kind of broke out as he took over last season. But AJ Brown will definitely break out. He had a miniature breakout at the end of last season. He was averaging 24 points per game over PPR points per game out over 4 of the last 5 games, and he's going to be incredible in that offense once again. He's going to be the go-to guy for Tanny. A lot of people are saying Jonnu Smith is going to be a huge breakout candidate. And for a while, I was kind of on board with that. But after looking into the numbers a little bit more, I'm a little bit more skeptic than most people here. So he's actually my candidate for beware of letdowns. You've got to be beware of letdowns with Jonnu Smith. And I know it sounds crazy to think that Jonnu Smith could be a letdown whenever his ADP is 98th overall. So that would be that's roughly the 802 in fantasy football redrafts. So early 8th round, that's really not too bad for a tight end that's supposedly going to have a breakout. But if you do spend that 8th round pick on him, you better beware, because I'm telling you, he's not going to perform to an 8th round overall performance. Here's the reason why. And I know I might even take a little flack for this, but here's my reasoning. Bear with me here. So he was behind Delanie Walker for all those years. For like 3 or 4 years, he's been behind Delanie Walker. I think he's coming on to his 4th. Actually, let me be accurate on that before I say that. Jonnu Smith, this is going to be his 4th year. So he was behind Delanie Walker for 3 years. Okay. We've been waiting on Delanie Walker to retire so that he could break out and be the Jonnu Smith that everybody believes he could be. But if we look at the numbers in those first 6 games with Delanie Walker last season, because Walker did get hurt, and whenever he got hurt, he moved on. It was the Jonnu Smith show after that, okay? So in those first 6 games, here are the reception breakdowns. Walker had a total of 31 I'm sorry, not reception breakdown, the target breakdowns. Walker had 31 targets in those first 6 games, and Jonnu Smith only had 9. So that was a total of 40 combined. So if we're going to assume that Jonnu Smith is going to take over the whole role at tight end, he should be taking over at least the majority of those targets that Delanie Walker is leaving void, right? That was a total of 6.6 per game if you combine the two in those first 6 games. So in other words, 6.6 per game to the tight end position itself. And Walker alone was getting 5.1 of those. So that means that Jonnu was only getting about 1.5 targets per game when Delanie Walker was there. Again, Walker himself was getting 5.1. In the final games of the season, so the final 10 games of the season, Jonnu Smith by himself, without Walker there, only received 3.6 targets per game. But if they combined for 6.6 before Walker was hurt, and that was also by chance before Tannehill took over, because Tannehill took over the very first week that Walker was no longer there, maybe Tannehill just doesn't throw to the tight ends as much. Or maybe Jonnu Smith just is what Jonnu Smith is, and that is a decent role-playing tight end. I don't see him jumping up in targets, because you would assume that would have happened whenever Tannehill took over and Walker went down. But Tannehill obviously wants to throw more to his wide receivers rather than his tight ends. Or maybe Tannehill needs that extra blocking. I don't know. I haven't looked at the game film on Jonnu Smith's blocking yet. But maybe that's the possibility there. So it's just something to consider. I'm not saying avoid Jonnu Smith. I'm just saying lower your expectations of Jonnu. If you can get him in the 9th, 10th round as your tight end, and then maybe pick another tight end later if you have a deeper league, he's worth a shot. But he's somebody that I'm going to start avoiding after really looking into these numbers. All right, that's enough about Jonnu. Let's jump into Mr. Reliable. And my Mr. Reliable for the Tennessee Titans is going to be Ryan Tannehill himself. I've already kind of talked about him a little bit, but his average finish in any given week after taking over last season was the quarterback 9 overall in any one given week. So he had some better weeks before that, or during that time, and he had some less than 9, but he averaged the QB 9 on any given week from week 7 on after he took over. His ADP right now is 1107 as the QB 21 coming off the board. QB 21. What the hell is going on? QB 21, really? I mean, like I said, he's averaging QB 9 numbers. He was obviously playing well. He's got an incredible run game. He's got a talented young wide receiver in A.J. Brown. I mean, he's got everything going for him, and he's extremely efficient. He's one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league. At least last season he was. So for him to drop all the way back to QB 21 is kind of insane to me. So draft him as the QB 12 to 14 off of the board, and just to ensure that you get him, okay? Go a little bit higher than ADP just to ensure that you get him and be happy about it, okay? And if it's a deeper league and you go get a second quarterback to back him up, completely understand. If you miss out on a QB or the QB you take, you're missing out on, and he's still out there after your draft. If you're in a one-quarterback league, go pick him up. Stream him at first, but you're going to keep him. Trust me. He's going to have a great season. He finished as a QB to 13 in all but 1 week as a starter. So in all those weeks, in those 10 weeks that he was a starter, there was only one game that he didn't finish as at least the QB 13 overall. Okay, so that is reliability. That's consistency. That's what you want from your quarterback position. That 1 week, by the way, that he didn't finish as a top 13 overall quarterback, he finished as the 19th overall, so a low-end QB2, and that was against my underrated Colts defense. It doesn't get any more reliable than Tannehill. Now, IDP guys that you need to know. I have admittedly said in the past that I don't know very much about IDP, and I'm not very good at IDP. But one thing I can tell you is that if you're going to draft IDP for the Tennessee Titans, you need to draft their linebacking core. I don't even care who it is, and obviously the Titans don't care who it is either. All of their linebackers do extremely well in that defense. Harold Landry, only 24 years old last year. Harold Landry scored 200 points. Jayon Brown scored 220 points. 25 years old, scored 220 points in most standard linebacking point system. He even missed 2 games and scored 220 points. Rashaan Evans scored 230 points. He's only 23 years old. So if we're talking dynasty, you want to target any one of those 3 guys especially. Now, Rashaan Evans did have 2 huge game bumps, the 2 games that Jayon Brown was out, but even with that, their averages across the board are amazing. Even Derek Roberson, I've never even heard of the guy, but he's a second-year undrafted linebacker that played the last 2 games and last 2 games of last season and scored 15 points per game. Like, bro, just draft the Titans linebackers. That's all I really have for you for the Titans breakdown for this evening. I will most likely finish the Jaguars tomorrow, and that'll wrap up the AFC South. Until then, like I said, don't forget to catch us at Toilets to Titles, at Coach Sheps, at Justin FF_, at Nate_Dirt19. Appreciate you listening tonight on YouTube and Periscope. And again, don't forget to check us out on the Apple Podcast, Spotify, Podbean, pretty much anywhere else that you could possibly listen to us. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe button. And whenever you do go to check us out at other places, leave us a little review. It really helps out the show. And don't forget, like I say every episode, just love each other. If we all just love each other, everything will be all right.